How many trading in the Mediterranean? 7? Whew! This is a good quarter. Hey, welcome to Taylor's Trick-Taking Table. I'm Table, and as you know, and as you probably are already getting ready to do, we're doing our end of the year Q4 theme checklist. You have to make sure your collection has enough themes represented for the masses, obviously. We just did trading in the Mediterranean, and now, do you have bird games?
I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
Already 6 bird games. And how about food-based dexterity games?
Yeah, just a sec. Yeah, so we got Cupcake Academy, Spaghetti, Yum Yum Island. That's about food, I believe. Then you got Coconuts and Coconuts. Double Coconuts. That probably counts. 5?
5. Perfect. Alrighty. And any games with animals that have weapons of any kind, preferably trick-taking, climbing, trading games?
Hey, yeah, we got 3 of those, actually. So we got Stabby Friends, Space Stabby Friends, and Kingdom Stabby Friends.
3. Okay, perfect. And I have on here, do we have the theme of the Buddhist transcendent state in which there's neither suffering, desire, nor sense of self? The subject is released from the effects of karma and the cycle of death and rebirth?
Oh, I think that one's right behind you.
Oh, behind me? Oh, perfect. Yeah, no, that's great. A sealed copy. Ooh, I wonder if that's going to get sent away soon. This is wonderful. Okay, I have on here the last thing that we're looking for is a game about witches delivering Amazon packages that irreparably damage their backs.
Does it need to be irreparable?
Yeah, it is irreparable damage. If it's not irreparable, if it is just reparable, I don't think it fits the list, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think oh yeah, here's irreparable, yeah. Okay, it's called Witch's Shot Delivery Service. Here you go.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, irreparably, perfect. Yeah, that completes the list. Yeah, this is wonderful. Alrighty. Why don't, actually, to celebrate finishing it, let's cover the game. Yeah, this is called Witch's Shot Delivery Service. It's designed by Neko Yanagi, I believe. And the hook is players are witches working for Emma John, and they are trying to deliver as much as they can without hurting their back, fatiguing their back, and hopefully not rupturing their spine. The premise is it's kind of like a trick taker where you're bidding on the cards that you're going to win tricks with. And usually you bid on how many tricks you think you're going to win in a bidding trick taker. Like, I think I'm going to win 2 tricks or 0 tricks or 5 tricks. This one, you're bidding on the amount of packages on the cards that you're going to deliver. So there's kind of an idea of, in trick takers, there's plain trick and point trick. Plain trick, you just worry about how many tricks you win. And point trick, you worry about what's on the cards that you win, I believe. I hope I didn't mix those up. But this is like bidding on point trick. Really interesting. So let's go to the table and I'll teach you how to play. The deck in Witch's Shot Delivery Service is 1 through 10 in 4 suits and 2 black cards. Here we have the game mostly set up for 4 players. So at 3 players, you're going to remove a suit and 1 of the 0 cards and a couple other changes that I'll note along the way. But for now, we're going to have 9 cards dealt to each player. There's going to be 6 left over, and the 6 that are left over are going to help determine the trump. So you're going to put the 6 left over kind of next to each other like this, and it's important for the trump determination that you keep them kind of in order. So first you're going to see what is represented the most, and that's going to be the strongest suit in the game. So as you can see, the red had 3 cards, so red's going to go to the top. Then there's 2 yellow, so then it's going to go yellow, then a green, and then there's no blue, so blue's just going to go on the bottom there. If it was tied, like let's say instead of this red, there's this green, and there's actually like a 3-way tie here, you're just going to look at the rightmost one. So even though it's 2, 2, 2, the red is the rightmost one, so red's going to go on top, and then it'd go green, then it'd go yellow, and then, blue, because it was last. But it's actually like this. So now that we know trump, you can kind of put this away or keep it out if people want to card count. But this is going to be hierarchical, I can never say that, hierarchical trump. So all the reds beat the yellows, yellows beat the greens, greens beat the blues, and as you can tell, it's just kind of a strength hierarchy. So the game is must follow, and it's also having bidding in the game. Now we have the trump hierarchy determined. Players are going to look at their hand and they're going to bid on how many packages they think they're going to take. So now's a good time to talk about the anatomy of a card here. So there's going to be a rank in the top left, or I guess right, and then the center. And then the suit is underneath, and then how many packages are on the card is just after that. So the higher the number, the fewer packages. Like as you can see, this 10 only has 1, whereas the 4 has 2, and like the 2 here has 3 packages. This just means an extra point, which I'll explain a little bit later. But so that's kind of the anatomy of a card. So players, when they play to the trick, they are, if they win, going to take the card they took in front of them, and that's going to count as a package or a box for their bid. So if they win with like a 4, for example, that's going to go in front of them, and then that is 2 toward their bid. So that's what they're bidding on, is like how many packages are going to be on the cards that they win with. A little bit convoluted, but it'll make more sense in the gameplay. So the person to start the bidding is the last person to carry something heavy. Let's say it is this yawning cat here. So they're going to look at their hand, and they're going to be like, okay, I have 3 high trump. I have the 10, which is like the highest card in the game. That's pretty good. I have an okay amount of yellow. Maybe I'm going to take a good amount of packages. Maybe they think they're going to take 5. So they take the bid they want to take. Right here it says you're going to get a point per trick, plus 5 points if you hit your bid exactly. So then it's going to go to Kiki over here. Kiki's going to look at their hand. They have a mediocre hand. This is also a special card, which I'll explain during the trick play. And so they don't think they're going to have too much. Maybe they take a 3. And then coming to this player, they think they're going to take a 2. And then maybe let's just say the last person takes a 0 for fun. So you're going to move the rest of these biddings. And so now part of the wild parts of the game is you can flip these bidding cards out, and now these are the players' spines. These are their spines as they deliver and carry packages. So let's look at a card here. So again, this is how many packages they think they're going to win. This is reminding them of the score. So if they hit their bid 5 and then 1 per point. Now this is their spine. And I'm going to just go into a trick because this is going to be easier to explain once you see a trick. The person who bid the lowest is going to lead to the first trick. Also, whoever got to pick last in the first trick is going to get a point. So since it was Kiki up here, they're going to get a point. You can keep track of scoring however you want, paper pad or whatever you want to do. And then they're also going to lead. So they are going to maybe lead a low trump. Let's just say they did that. So it is must follow. So maybe when it comes to the yawning cat, they play that person plays that, and then finally it comes up here and they have to play the 9. So the 0s in the trick, which I'll explain what they do, they can be played at any time. But let's say no one wanted to play them. So the highest in the hierarchy wins. So red is the strongest. I mean, they're all red, just so that makes sense. So this 9 is going to win it. How it works is, for every single trick, you're going to count up the number of boxes on them, and you're going to make sure that it doesn't crush the spine of the person who won the trick. So in this example, that was 3, 3, 2, 1. So that's 9 boxes. Thankfully, this player on the top left here has spine strength of 11 right now. So they can handle that number 9. So they're going to take the trick, they're going to win the trick. They take, again, the card that they won it with in front of them. They're going to discard these other cards. Those are just out of the round. And if you win a trick, you're going to take a fatigue cube because you were carrying packages, right? And you're going to put it on the bottom spot. So now your spine, let me show this a little closer to the camera, is weaker because you got a little fatigued. So you're going to cover that up. As you can see, in a 3-player game, you start at the 9, but at 4, you start at the 11. So this player up here, even though everyone else has a spine strength of 11, they have a spine strength of 10. So if they were to win another trick and it was going to go to 11, that would actually crush their spine, which I'll explain in a little bit. But for now, they are good. So then they are going to lead to the next trick. So maybe they play a 2. So again, must follow. Actually, let's do something spicy. So this player up here, they can play the 0 whenever they want. They're going to play that 0. So then when it comes to this player, they are going to play the 1. And so now what's crazy is there was 3 here, so that's 6 packages already. What this card does is it says sum the packages times 2. So there's already 12 packages in this thing. So this player down here, they could either play the 3, win it, and crush their spine, or they could play the 0 and make it so that player up there crushes their spine. They don't want to crush their spine, so they are going to do that. So the other 0 is 4 packages. So the 0s are kind of brutal because you can play whenever you want and they add a lot of weight to the trick. So how this evaluates is you count up the packages. So 3, 6, 10. You sum them up times 2. So that's 20 amount of weight onto the spine of this player up here, the portal player. So as you can see, they can only carry 10. So they just slipped a disc, ruptured a disc, cracked their back, who knows. So when that happens is you actually take an oof token and that covers up one of the spots. So it's hard to get it to focus on the game right here. So that's going to cover up one of the spots. And also they do take a normal fatigue cube as usual. So now the player can only carry 8. So as you can see, their spine is kind of getting destroyed working at Amazon. But they take the card that they won it with, it goes in front of them. And as you can see here, they actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 packages in their 1 tricks. So they've hit their bid. So now they don't want to win any trick ever again because they hit their bid. So that's 4 points. And as you can see here, it's 1 point per trick. So 1, 2, so that's 6. And I said I would explain it, but the 1s, 2s, and 3s have a +1 here, which means they get a bonus point. So they actually got 7 points right now, as long as they don't take another trick. So when they go to lead, they've ruptured their spine. They can't really carry much, so they don't want to win another trick. What's awesome, I mean, it's not great to rupture your spine, but what's great about rupturing your spine is in this game, if you ever have ruptured your spine and have one of these oof tokens, is you can use the oof token once per round to place it on a card that you play and say, this is what this symbol means, I have a bad back and I can't be part of this trick, or I can't win this trick. I'm invalidated from winning this trick. So this person up here with a horrible back, they just led yellow. So it is still must follow. So players have to follow off of yellow. But they are playing the 9, or they're playing their token here, and they're saying, oof, I can't win. So even if, like, let's say this player didn't play the 10, they played that, and then this player played that because they don't have any more yellow. As you can see, it evaluates where green is weaker. This can't win the trick. So then it's between these two. So the 7 would actually win. So if you use that oof token, it actually just comes back and it goes back on your thing as used. Those replenish in the next round, which is great. But again, the same flow happens. So this player would take the card they won with, put them here. They would make sure to count up the total. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8 is lower than 11, so they're good. They would still take the fatigue cube as usual, and then go about their merry way. So tricks like this would continue. Players, would be winning tricks, adding more fatigue cubes. There could be a spot where they win a bunch and they only have 7, and then, the next time they win one, since they only had 7, they could, crack their back, and it could go up like that. And what's interesting is players are trying to hit their bid, right? So if you don't hit your bid, you just get 0 points. There's no penalty. So if the trick ended right now and this player, their win pile looked like this, so they only had 4, but they didn't get 5 exactly, they would just get 1, 2, 3 points. Boop. However, at the end of a hand, you do return your day's fatigue cubes as normal, but you keep your broken spine token over the hands. So maybe fast forward to where the hand ended, you cleaned up the tricks, you reshuffled, you redealt, you rebid, and maybe this player here, they draft a different spine. This goes back onto the bottom of their spine. So they always have, they have like a chronic broken back for the rest of the game. And same with this player up here. They have a chronic broken back for the rest of the game. If that happens again, like maybe they took some tricks and they got oofed on again, they would again take another broken back token, ouch, a fatigue as normal, and in the next round, they would carry over both of them. So part of the game is just living with a bad back, which I can tell you is part of life. It does carry over. What these are is, it's funny because they are bad because they permanently fill up your spine with cracked back, but it's also leniency because you can, have 2 times to get out of a trick, which is great. However, if any player gets their 3rd oof token, that is going to trigger the end of the game prematurely. Usually you play a round per player, but if that happens to one of the players where they get 3 in a round, that would be the last round. So say this was the 3rd round and this player, the cat, got their 3rd oof token, you wouldn't play a 4th round. The game does say if all players but 1 get 3 oof tokens, you stop playing immediately. You don't even finish that round, and then you evaluate right away. So how the scoring works, again, you would get points if you hit your bid. You get a point per trick, the 1s and 2s are worth extra points. You're just going to keep it counting. You're going to count those over the rounds. Whoever has the most points wins, except at the very end, you count how many of these tokens that you got, and you're going to lose some points. If you only got 1, that's -1 point, 2, -4, and 3, -9. So it's kind of the square of them. So 1, 4, 9. And then whoever has the most points at the end wins. There are 2 optional rules, which I should point out. There are the witches, the hidden, secret, heavy box. There are the 6s in the game. So there's 4 of these. If an opponent plays them on you and you win the trick, you actually add, in addition to a normal fatigue cube, you add a cursed cube. This takes up 2 spots on your spine. So it just fills your spine up quicker. You only can get 1 of them per round, but it's a little scary, right? If you ever win a trick with a cursed one, you don't take it. So it's only if or another player adds one to you. If you play them by yourself, you're fine. The other optional thing is the paid vacation. How the paid vacation works is, remember at the first round when you were drafting and the last person to draft got a point? So in the paid vacation things, instead of getting a point, they get a paid vacation. In addition to that, whoever bid the highest gets another paid vacation. So in this example, if it was bid 5, 3, 2, and 0, this 5 player would get a paid vacation. What these are just like your broken back token where you say, ouch, I hurt my back. You can do the same thing. You're like, hey, I can't work. I'm out of work. And then these just get discarded. They don't carry over for the round, so use them or lose them. Kind of like real world PTO. And the last thing I should say actually is in the next rounds after the first round, when you draft the spines, you do it in reverse player order in terms of winning. So let's say the cat person was losing, they would draft first, then maybe over here if they were second losing, then third losing, then fourth losing. We don't know what to do in ties. If it's ties, we just went clockwise. Who knows? And that is how to play Witch's Shot Delivery Service. So that is Witch's Shot Delivery Service, and what a theme. What a cover. I love this idea, and I'll be honest, right now, I don't know if I would like the game as much if it didn't have this hilarious theme. I'm a bit of a goofy guy. I love some comedy in my life, and I was just chuckling constantly while playing this game. This is I think one of the perfect examples of humor in mechanics and like humor in game. And I don't want to like just ramble about how much I love what this did, but I do just want to say I don't know if I would have liked this game as much if it wasn't just so funny. So first off, I will say the production maybe not the best. So some funny things to note. First off, I think the card design is iffy. This like random witch icon, like the icons are just like eh. Also, sometimes like the cards, even though they should have like a +1, didn't have a +1. Or this, which killed me, some of my cards just had a sticker on it. I don't know. So the sticker got caught sometimes, and production stuff. I mean, I don't want to harp on like an indie thing from Japan, but like production wise, a little bit goofy. But I think that just it kind of just fit the vibe in a weird way. Like when you pull out this game and you just see all of these spines on cards, and you're like, what is happening? And then you learn the rules and you teach people, and they're trying to like understand that this game's about like slipping discs and breaking backs, and like, what is happening? I thought it was like a witch game. I genuinely, I don't know why I'm leading so much with the theme, but it just stands out so much, and it's such a funny, hilarious part of the game that a very huge concept of the game is your spine and how much fatigue and how many times you've like broken your back is a huge part of the game. Gameplay though, it's interesting. There's a concept in a lot of older trick-taking games. I think I'm saying this right, but it's like plain trick and point trick. Where plain trick is, it doesn't matter what cards you win, what type of cards you win, it's just about winning cards. And then there's point trick where you care about what types of cards you're winning. So I have never seen, at least I don't think so, where you're betting or you're bidding not on how many tricks you think you're going to take, but the boxes on tricks you're going to take. So it's like point bidding, which is super cool. But you also get points based on the number of tricks you win. So I like that balance there. It was really cool to kind of handle that. And also, I always personally love I can never say it, but hierarchical trump. I love that concept. I designed a game that was about where the cards cut would dictate what that trump was. So it's essentially what this game does. So I always love that. It kind of adds so much texture like immediately to your hand, and you can really clearly evaluate your hand that way. You're like, okay, this is just de facto a worse card, you know, as opposed to this one. And I think it makes for a really interesting bidding. The bidding's wacky, because it's like, okay, I know the strength of all the cards in my hand pretty much. I know that I'm bidding on packages, which is like a layer removed from bidding on how many tricks I think I'm going to win. So it's a little bit tough, but I know the packages I'm going to get are only from the cards in my hand. So it's not like I'm going to be surprised. Not someone's going to slough me random packages for my bid. It's always going to come from here. And then I love how, even though someone can't slough you packages, you can get overwhelmed with weight from other packages. I think there's a lot of wacky concepts in this game, but they do come together pretty well. The things that I think the game has to have are kind of the optional rules. The Witch's Surprise package, or whatever, this variant, where it adds the gray cube, where the gray cube makes your back take 2 cubes of weight in addition to the normal cube, so it's like 3 cubes of weight. I think that's huge. We played a game where we didn't use that, and honestly, we're just kind of good at trick taking now, and maybe it's good for beginners to not use the witches thing, but we found that like people's backs weren't breaking, and we wanted those backs to break. I think that is such an important part of the game, such a fun mechanic of the game, that I would recommend, even if you're slightly comfortable with trick taking, to use the witches variant. The other variant that I really, really liked is the day off one, because I think it incentivizes bidding a little bit higher, because you want that day off token. It's almost like in pups, where if you bid 0 in pups, you get that +1 leniency. So I saw that in here where you get that, oh, I'm off leniency, which is lovely too, because it also makes the other players kind of take a trick they don't really expect, which is really, really nice. But of course, you can kind of bank off that. So this game just had a lot of fun systems that I really, really liked. I enjoy this game a lot. I think some of the goofiness, though, is that the bidding is, you know, it's like all or nothing. You have to hit that number. And I think the trick play is a little slightly wacky. Like the zeros are play whenever you want, and they just like blow up a trick pretty much. There's no like kind of nuance to it. They kind of feel really good to get dealt. It's kind of like boast or nothing, where in that game where you want to get, you know, a certain amount of tricks or 0, and you get randomly dealt a pass card, and it's just like always good. It's just like wonderful to get. So those zeros just feel like really good to get. That always kind of rubs me the wrong way in sometimes these games where there's specific bidding and like harsh bid penalty, like if you miss your bid. And then also like this game has balancing for bidding. Like if you are in the first round, the last player to pick gets like either a point or one of those like day off tokens. So it pays attention to the imbalance of how bidding works, where like if you pick later, you're at a disadvantage, or the fact that like in the second and on round, the person losing gets first pick. So it pays attention to that type of stuff. So it's strict in the bidding, and it really values like balancing on bid pick. But then it has it to where you can just randomly get shuffled and dealt these zeros, which are like bombs, you know. So that always rubs me wrong. Like if a game cares so much about balance and strategy, or like appears to, and then has like this random weird wacky element, it adds to the fun though. So overall, I think what I liked about the game is it is so silly, so fun to balance your back. I love in spades, which I should probably cover, where you have bags, right? The idea of bags in spades, if you don't know, is if you miss your bid as a team, you carry over this penalty of sorts, this like currency of bags. And once you get 10 of them, you lose points. So it's like this penalty that lasts over hands, and it kind of gives the whole game an arc because it lasts over the hands. And what I love in this is your back, when you get permanently hurt, it's so funny, why do I keep laughing? But your back, when you get permanently hurt, it carries over. So the fatigue cubes go away day to day or hand to hand. But the back, if you permanently injure it, carries over. And I love that It's so cool. And I also love how it's like leniency. So maybe you hurt your back early to get 1 minus point, but also 1 leniency, which is just like super useful. It's cool. I think this game does a lot well. It's close to being recommended to getting the seal. I think it just misses the mark a little bit. I think it's a little bit fiddly. It's a little bit goofy, hard to bid sometimes. The deck makeup is a little bit weird. The graphic design, not my favorite. But I think it's inherently silly, something I love. I think it's cool how the penalty is also a leniency. The point trick and the points are fun, and I think the push your luck with the spine stuff is really, really fun. So overall, a really good package. I really like this one. I would definitely want to show this to people who want a kind of a new twist on bidding, or to have a little bit more of an arc from hand to hand. I really want to see more of that in trick taking, is where the hands don't feel so disparate, but also have things that like carry over, like this back stuff. It's really, really cool. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. That is Witch's Shot Delivery Service. Lovely cover, kind of like a Kiki's Delivery Service. Lovely theme. Poking fun at Amazon. Oh, there's a ton of this game that I really do like. So definitely check this out. I think Ty has some copies on Tricky Imports. So if this sounds fun to you, definitely check that out. Ty's a friend, so this feels like an ad at the end. It's just kind of the only way I know how to buy this, because I keep covering import games. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Catch you later. Bye.